Hi there. I want to share an experience that I had. If you have any doubt that you are in fact the creator of your reality, hopefully this will shed some light of what does it mean to be the creator of your reality. Now, before I get into the details of what transpired, I want to share that I've been researching and studying on various modalities of how to help people weed through the subconscious mind and heal the traumas without adding more trauma by you having to face everything. And I'll talk about that in detail in another video. For this video, I want to talk about something that happened in March. So I was online at a store. I don't remember if it was the supermarket, the dollar store, or whatever it was. And a woman was complaining about being selected for jury duty. And I chimed in and said, well, I was on jury duty for 2 months, and it was a fascinating trial, and I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the experience of watching the whole thing unfold. Well, 2 days later, I got a notice for jury duty. Now, that's not a coincidence. Your words and your thoughts create your reality. Your soul is giving you the experience that it thinks will bring you its highest joy. Now, there's another aspect to it. It's not all you commanding it. If you have traumas hidden in your body that are coded in your energy field, you're going to draw situations to you to play it out so that you have the revelation that whatever is in front of you is within you for you to work on it and to heal it. And when you don't focus on those things that you need to heal, they manifest into physical issues. So with that said, I responded to the letter, and 2 days later, I get another letter basically saying, okay, well, you didn't respond. You have to show up for the month of May. And for whatever reason in this town, the entire month is slated for you to appear at their whim for jury duty. Now, I showed up on the dates that I was told to show up. When I entered into the courtroom, there was about 60 people there waiting for that day's trial. And they already pre-selected 10 people who would sit in the jury panel as they asked questions to determine who they would choose to be on trial. Well, they whittled the 10 down to 6, and I was chosen out of the 6. Now, there's a lot of things that were going on through my head because I understand the court system. I have strong beliefs about things that happen within the court system with maritime law and, how it's against natural law, some of the things that take place. So I was curious what my soul wanted to show me through this. And I just sat there in wonder to see what would unfold. Now, the boy that was on trial was 22 years old, and he had what was perceived by the medical institution and the lawyers all perceived this boy to have psychological issues. And, was he odd in terms of how society views what a person should behave like? Sure. I mean, I've never been in a courtroom where somebody was allowed to walk around, and this kid was walking around, waving his hands in the air, doing push-ups. But he was polite, he was respectful. They said, could you please go sit down? He would sit down. So, this was all setting the stage for the other jurors to say, wow, this kid's crazy. And one of the things that they were talking about when one of the psychiatrists came on, is they said that one said he was manic, the other one said he was schizophrenic. They both said that he's disturbed because he could hear voices. And, I have to be objective when, I hear voices too. So that was kind of funny. And at one point, the boy got up and leaned his back against the wall with his arms spread out like he was being nailed to the cross. And, I just knew that it was God, Spirit, the universe working through this kid. And I knew exactly what it meant. This entire charade that was going on, this court system trying to funnel this kid into an inpatient facility for a few months so that they could drug him up so that he doesn't hear voices anymore, is basically no different than the story of Jesus, where, they were trying to shut him up. They didn't want him to ascend. They didn't want him to awaken. Do I think that this kid needed help? He was asking for help. He was asking for help because he couldn't sort his thoughts out. So do I think that there's benefit to a therapist sitting there trying to help him with his thoughts? Yes. Do I think he needs drugs? No. When we were in the juror room, what everybody was talking about is, well, he can't care for himself. How is he going to feed himself? Well, you don't know somebody's dietary needs. We all have different needs. We don't even need food. We've been programmed to believe that we need food. And so for somebody to sit there and say, well, we're going to force feed this kid because he needs food, that's just going to stop his ascension. Same with the drugs. It's not going to stop it, but it'll delay it. And maybe it'll help sort out his thoughts. I don't know. But the fact that I've been studying the subconscious, I know that there are other modalities. What they were recommending is not the absolute only modality out there. And, I don't know if I was being tested, if I was going to speak up, which I did. I didn't believe that they were telling the truth. And, at the end of the trial, when everything was said and done, they gave us 3 questions to answer. And under each question, there was some sub-questions. And out of all 3, if you answered yes to any one of the categories of each 3, then the kid was going to be put into an inpatient facility. Now, natural law says that nobody could have dominion over you as a person. So he's 22 years old. He surely could have stepped up and said, no, I don't want that. But I don't know why he wasn't. I don't know if he was being instructed from Spirit to just be silent and go through the process. I do know that he is definitely being guided. There's no coincidence that he got up with his arms spread out like that, and the symbolism of what the court system represents, that his laws were being violated. But I didn't judge it. It's not my place to judge it. I was there to witness it. And I know that, if he's being guided, then he knows that if he fasts for a few days, that everything in his system will be flushed out. So did I create the situation? Absolutely. I said I love jury duty, and then all of a sudden, here I am on a jury panel. I'm studying the subconscious and how to help people heal from traumas, not to be a typical Reiki person, which goes in there and clears the energy blockages and doesn't tell you that if you still have the same thoughts and you don't heal the trauma, that those blockages are going to come back. And I've studied emotion code, which will help you release it too, but that's pretty intense, and you have to sit through it and face yourself and really work through each thing, which could cause more trauma. I mean, I've tried it with people and it causes more trauma. So I don't necessarily agree with emotion code either. But my point is, they put me, my spirit put me in a case that was specific about somebody with psychological problems that could use a service that could help him sort through some of his thoughts. And I know, at the end of the day, when we had to deliberate and say yes, it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling. I cried all the way home. But it is what it is. I also know that, divine law is in play and that this boy is protected. And I know that he, another reason why I know for sure that he is being guided by spirit is I found him on Facebook and I read his Facebook feed, and he talks about nothing but peace, nothing but love, nothing but God. He's got hashtag Anunnaki. So he knows who he is. Absolutely knows who he is. So is this institution trying to stop the awakening, trying to stop another voice from being heard? Was I selected as a subtle threat to stop me from continuing on the path that I'm on? All possibilities. But it's neither here nor there. We are divinely protected. We are here to awaken. We are here to make major shifts in this reality as a collective into a different way of being. Now, if you don't think that you're the creator of your reality and you can't see the situations being put in front of you and what you need to clear, then you should talk to somebody about that to try to help you get through that. If you're walking through a season that really is a shit show and you're tired of the collapsing things that happen around you, then you're just not getting the message. And it could be subtle. It could be you saying that you want to become a mechanic and not taking action on it, and then all of a sudden your car's falling apart. Spirit has very, very subtle ways to communicate with us to get us to move. And if you have been chosen to awaken first, to help guide, that means you have a collective of people that are waiting on you for your guidance. And by you not healing your trauma and you not getting to that next level, you're not going to be able to guide those people. And it's going to delay them. And it's going to delay the process. And a lot of us, and I know me specifically, I've been knocked back twice because there is a dark agenda here. There are people that are trying to stop us. And they'll do anything, and it's subtle. It comes, they could send you people. They'll send you intrusive thoughts. They'll, give you desires that aren't in your best interest at that moment in time. They'll give you things that will drain your energy field or use it in places where it's displacing your energy. And it's very real. And this is why I gave you cord cutting instructions, because when you realize it and you realize it too late, you have to go backwards and rewrite some of those events that took place. You have to cut the cords of that energy field so it doesn't continue to drain you. And then when you get pushed backwards, sometimes you have to start all over again and start to rise again, which is really not pleasant. I've been on the bridge here for almost 5 years. I should be well on to the next phase of this, and I'm not. And it is what it is. There's a lot of lessons. Maybe this is all by design. I don't know yet. All I know is we are absolutely the creators of our reality. You have to be very aware of your words, very aware of your thoughts. Make sure everything is positive, constructive, of what you want. Be clear on what you want. Don't speak about the things that you don't want. You'll get more of it. I hope this helps in some way. Have a great day. Just a few more things to note. If you want to know more information about the maritime law comment, you can go on to BitChute and find Sergeant Horton or War Castles. He did a phenomenal video on everything related to that topic. I haven't watched it in a while, probably in a couple of years. It used to be on YouTube, but it was taken off. The other thing I wanted to point out is, we're sitting in this trial and we're basically asked to only assess based on whatever is communicated in the court. And the information communicated in the court was very limited. We had no information as to what initiated this person to be detained and brought him into a facility in the first place that resulted in him being evaluated by 2 psychiatrists. We do know that he was in the emergency room and he was assessed by a woman. I don't know if she was from 911, but she was another one of the people that came in to give her opinion on this person. And as far as I'm concerned, what she spoke of basically was a person who was in fear that this young boy was going to hurt someone else or hurt himself. And they didn't really have any evidence to prove that he would hurt himself or anyone else. He didn't do anything, but he had an infection in his eye once. Okay. So, when you have 2 doctors in the medical field, psychiatrists specifically, they're only able to access the conscious mind. They're not getting into the subconscious where a lot of things are actually coming from. And if the boy is already doped up, he's not going to be able to access the subconscious. They didn't attempt to put him into any kind of hypnotic state. They didn't try to do any kind of brain synchronization to stabilize him. All they did was make an assessment based on what he was consciously able to communicate. And again, if he was already on drugs, how conscious was he? We don't know what those drugs were or what they do to your state of being. Then there's the fact that, when we went into the deliberation room, you have 6 individuals with completely different backgrounds that are making a judgment about somebody based on their own life experiences. So I'm already resistant to what a psychiatrist was saying based on my experience. On top of which, my mother was diagnosed as manic. She was in and out of facilities. I don't think there was anything wrong with her. She wasn't a harm to herself or anyone else. I mean, yeah, she had outbursts. She was frustrated. She wanted people to understand her. She was crying out for help, but she never attempted to really hurt herself. So then you had, there was another man in the deliberation room. He was an ex-police officer, and he claims that, he was at several murder cases where, the person who was doing the murdering was hearing voices too. And I'm like, okay, so that could be the case. I mean, why spirit comes through people, some are good, some are bad, who knows? Then there was another woman in there who worked in a medical facility, and she had seen lots of people coming in with psychiatric problems. They just came in just to get their drug fix. Okay, all based on personal experiences that have nothing to do with this one individual. What I'm going to post at the end of this is a couple of things from his Facebook page. I blotted out his name. We don't need to know, anything more than this is a young man, probably had a fucked up upbringing like many of us, and is seeking guidance, and instead they're choosing to put him in a facility and try to numb him a little bit with the hopes that it's going to change him. Well, if he's flooded with information from spirit's not going to go away. Maybe the drugs will help him sort out his thoughts. Maybe he'll be able to speak to somebody to help him sort out his thoughts. What I was reminded of after that trial I was asking for guidance. Why did I need to experience that? And the next morning when I woke up, I was given the name Matthias. Now, Matthias Di Stefano is another individual in this awakening community, and he had a similar experience where he couldn't sort out his thoughts, and his parents were at least spiritually aware enough to know that he needed help to sort out the thoughts, but ultimately it was his guides that needed to be able to help him compartmentalize things in a way that he could determine what they were trying to reveal to him. And it took him, from what I understand from some of his interviews, it took him a couple of years. And he's had a profound impact, I know, on me, knowing that my reality and things that I experience are not crazy, because there's other people out there having similar experiences. Now, he's well advanced, and he basically doesn't live in this matrix world at all. He does exactly what Spirit tells him to do without any understanding why, without any means to do what he has to do. He just has faith that it's going to be provided for him in order for him to do the next step. So it's all very fascinating. I just thought this was an interesting experience to share.